Before, thank you, Sandra. Before we get going, I want to just very briefly touch upon this idea of, this is a beginning drawing class. And right now we're working in a real challenging medium. Throughout the year, I may demonstrate in pencil, I may demonstrate in charcoal, I might demonstrate in ink. You can follow along with me, but you don't have to. Jackie was just saying before class, this is my first year as an artist. The ink is kind of stressing me out. Can I use another medium? So I want to really encourage anybody who's watching this who's doing this class. You do not have to work in this medium. I am demoing because I've noticed some interest in our class in using ink, and I think that's helpful. But it is absolutely accurate to say it's another stressor or another challenge every time we introduce another challenge. And it's good for you to step back and go, I need to just focus on the drawing. So if you want to use charcoal, if you want to use pencil, that's totally up to you. And in December, you guys get to pick each week what medium we use. So we'll vote. I'll be ready to do whatever it is you want to do. So I love this. I was just looking at this. Francesca sent over a bunch of stuff from Milan, and thanks for doing that, Francesca. This is a picture of a little stone facade by her house, and I love it. This is
like a gargoyle. It looks like a gargoyle.
I think it's a lion. Is it a lion? I think
it looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah,
it's a fountain.
It's a fountain.
Yeah, on a wall that is surrounding a garden.
Oh, it's magical. It's magical. And this is what I love about Europe. This is what I miss from being in the US. And we don't have this kind of beauty kind of everywhere we look. And so I love these little flashes. What's also really great about this, particularly for ink and charcoal, is can you see the shadows? So they've got these there's these wonderful dark and light shapes that are going to be easy to kind of create a good drawing or painting. For those of you who are on the thread, you might have seen this very pretty camellia that Julia Hatfield sent over earlier. She wanted to paint it in ink, but if you look at it, it's all this color, which makes it a really difficult thing. It doesn't make it a good drawing subject. Good drawing subjects have strong shadows and light areas. So that's what we're thinking. As usual, where is it? Okay, here's my ink. I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit more so we can see the whole paper. There we go. I'm going to do about half of the paper for this, and then I'm going to use the bottom half for testing. But if you're using ink, might want to have a blank sheet of paper or something like that kind of next to your thing where you can test, right? Like here. You don't need to test on the same Bristol paper that you're using. That's sort of expensive unless it works. I've got my ink. It smells funny. I've got my brush and my bamboo brush and my pen. And then I've got two of these. I've got two of these. Water. This is water. Because if you remember, we kind of start by dipping in ink with the brush. And then before we get too detailed into it, I'm dipping it in water. And then I'm kind of testing to see, do I have a gray enough, light enough area? Because remember that if I'm working in ink and I want to erase something, if my ink has water in it, it's easier to erase it. If my ink doesn't have water, like this, straight ink, I can't, right? I can't erase it. So although we can't quote unquote erase in ink, we can work in light, watered down ink that makes it easier to erase, particularly if you've got your blankie with you. Also another very important aspect. So for those of you who are working in ink, you'll kind of do the outlines with me. For those of you who are working in pencil or charcoal, let me show you the key outlines. Notice as I get these in, I don't have the details. And notice I'm not doing the outer lines. So I think the first thing I'm going to do here, what am I going to do here? I guess I'm going to draw a vertical line down the center of this fountain. And I'm going to find the halfway point. Now you can see I'm doing this by, I'm kind of guessing and then checking. Guessing, checking. I know people like to do a lot of guessing. What I find interesting is then they don't like to check it. So they're like, well, I was guessing. I don't know. And I'm like, well, you need to check it. Checking is a key part of guessing. You can guess, but then you have to check. All right. So if I take this and I come this way across, if I draw a line across the middle here, of the, which is also the widest, pretty much the widest part of this sketch, I'm going to see that this, okay, if this is the quarter, this is the halfway point, I'm going to need a quarter point as well. So this is the halfway between here and here. Yep, I think, and just to double check this with something that won't, I measured the width. It's a little bit, it's like, it's higher, it's a little bit higher than the halfway point. In fact, it's about halfway up. This distance is nearly the entire height, but not quite. It's, I'll do this in a different color here. Here is the same height. So I'm going to send this over to you and then structure this so that you've got it. Let's see here. I'm enjoying the submissions, by the way. So keep them coming. I think next week we'll do Jackie's daughter's cat in the shoe, because there's some nice contrast there. I think that will be quite a fun one, but I'll take anything that has good contrast. Notice I got some stuff that didn't have the greatest contrast or might be a little complicated. I like the, Geraldine, I like the elephants. I'm a little worried they're kind of difficult. So I might save that for charcoal or something that's a little bit easier to erase, but it's on the list of things that I'd like to do.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So I'm going across here, and then once again, I'm kind of like determining my top and my bottom. And then I'm going to mark my halfway point. I don't want to actually put the lines down in ink because, but if you're drawing in pencil or charcoal, you can totally put the lines down. So here's the halfway point. And then here, nope, that's not right. Grab the blankie. One, two, yep, there's the quarter point. And up here is kind of where I want my width to be. I can also see 1, 2, 3. I can also see that kind of 1/3 of the width is on this side and 2/3 is on the other side. So as I sketch this out, let's see, so I can go here like this. And I can sketch this out. It's about here. This is the height. Notice that this width comes up to this point here. It's the same. And now let me check. 1, 2, 3. Yes. So 1/3 is on this side and 1/3 is on that side. So that's how kind of how you want to start. If you are working with pencil or charcoal, you can absolutely draw the lines. If you are working in ink, I recommend not drawing the lines, just putting the dots. And before we get any further, you can send me your dots. You can send me your points so I can check them, or your grid. Or you don't have to, but if you want help, I had somebody say to me in class yesterday, 10 minutes after the class had ended, they wanted help with their drawing. And I'm like, I need you to talk. I need you to talk to me before then. So these points where I'm stopping are good points for you guys to show me the steps. Before I go on, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to get there.
In the meantime, shall I send you mine, Leah?
Yeah, please do.
So it's already possibly beyond the correctable stage, but see what you
But at least it's the beginning of class.
Well, yes, but it's not the beginning of a drawing. Because I began working on this yesterday.
Okay.
And I kept botching it up until I finally printed the page. I was trying to do it off the iPad and it just didn't work.
Yeah, it helps to see things kind of flat, right?
It's difficult to measure. I was making it bigger and smaller, and in the end, I was just muddling myself.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at this.
Yeah, that's so cute.
Lambs and sweaters. See, this is what I'm like. This is what we need to distract ourselves with as we continue to go down a path. Let's see. Okay. Actually, let's see. So the vertical distance of his face looks good. I feel like his nose is a little far down.
So initially,
but
what did I do? Yeah, maybe it is.
It is a little bit. If you look at it, you can see that the nose is, if I blow this up further here, hold on, you'll see that the nose is like if I'm looking at sort of this distance between the eye.
It's halfway down.
It's literally halfway down.
So I got to start again.
It's also just good to notice, excuse me, to note to yourself that the nose, we often get the nose in the wrong place, so you just spend some time trying to place it right before you.
I'll start over.
Let me see can I see your sort of initial measurements before you get to, give me the light outline.
I find it messes me up, but you mean like the dots like you have there?
Yeah, just show, or show me a very light outline before you get in any detail, and then I can help you in a light if that messes you up. Does anybody want to see me go further with this, to start with these yellow lines? I'm happy to do it. I can do that. So I have on this side this kind of diagonal line, right? Over here, this is interesting. And then over here, I've got a diagonal line. No, it's in closer. So actually, in closer too. So my diagonal line on this side, if I want to get really detailed about it, is exactly this width. Yep. Okay. So I'm coming over here to start up, and then I'm sketching in this shadow. So I'm not really getting too much into, and I'm not getting into too much detail on the shadow yet. I'm just kind of sketching the shapes. Notice I'm not even doing, there we go. I think that's pretty good. I'm finding negative space to be very helpful. And then if I want to, then I can add in this shape. So did everybody catch how far I got to make this? Bettina, I'm having a hard time seeing your bottom. Where's your bottom dot? I can't see it.
send me?
I don't know where the bottom of this is.
I think. So I'm looking at it and it's upside down.
Yes, so that's really hard to see. So can you take a picture where it's easy for me to see this? I just can't see I just don't see where this point is.
Which point?
This point, I'm pointing right at it. I can't see it.
Okay.
It's not there, or I don't see it in your drawing. You haven't photographed it or we missed it or something. I can see which way it's supposed to go. I just can't see that bottom point.
How much is the width at the bottom?
Well, how would you answer that question?
I can measure it.
You would measure it and then you compare it. It's
Okay.
almost right. You would compare it.
Okay.
You can compare it like that. The question you really need to ask me is, how do I measure this, right? What's the best way to measure this? Is that what you really mean? Because you need to measure it, right? You're just like saying, how do I measure? What's the best way to measure this? And I think I'm only specifying it because I think it's good to, let's see. I think it's good, there we go. So there it is. Let's see. Okay, so Bettina, this is way too short. This width is way too short. This width from here to here comes all the way up to this green point here. Your width comes to about here. So the width needs to be wider.
How did you measure it again? How did you compare
Just
it?
watch, just watch. Here's the width. So I found the halfway point. This is at exactly the halfway point of the drawing. I drew all the way across. I measured like this, and then I brought it up the vertical, and it comes all the way up to here, where that green point is. So
Okay.
your width is way too, your width comes up to about here. So you need to widen this side,
Okay.
the width. I appreciate you doing this because I know this doesn't feel like a natural thing. People don't like it. But it's so funny. People don't like to measure, and then their drawings are wrong, and then they're like, "My drawing is wrong," and I'm like, "But you're not. You have to learn how to measure. Measure, and then your drawing will not be so wrong."
Should I have printed this out, because I'm just going from the image on my phone right now?
I mean, you can still do the measurements, right? You
Yeah.
can still, with your fingers, do the measurements. It's a proportional thing. So it doesn't matter how big or small it is. The proportions are what we're interested in, right? So I know it feels like an extra step to have to assess like how big or small a thing is, but that is really, the size is unimportant. It's the proportion that I'm showing you that's important. And if you can get that, you can draw anything. Excellent question, by the way. Excellent question. Anybody else want to send theirs in?
I just joined. I
Diana?
late this morning.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry.
I think I didn't know. I don't know how to measure it out to the left.
Well, it's one, you'll notice it's about 1/3 of the space. So I would kind of guess, start with a guess, and then check. And then, so you start like this. Here's the width. It's this wide. So I come here. So my width is this wide. I come over here. I kind of guess where I think the left is. And the left is much less than what's over on this side. And then I mark this length. And then I look and I see, this is really 1/3. So I check and I see, does that match what I have? See
Yeah.
that? So that's how you do it. And if you don't have it exactly right, you scoot it a little bit this way, you scoot it a little bit the other way. But you kind of start by guessing and then you check your measurements. Excellent question. This is so good. I'm glad you're asking the questions because it's easy for people not to. These are excellent. Anybody else want to show me what they got? I just sent across the first kind of sketch. I'd like to see this before you go any further. Y'all going further. When I first started teaching drawing, I taught people to work with a grid. I didn't find that to be helpful. So this is a little bit harder. A grid is easier because with a grid, everything has to be, if I'm teaching you on the grid and you're going from my drawing, you have to have exactly the same proportions as me. It's really annoying. And I think it doesn't really teach you about how to find your own proportions. So I've shifted my drawing training to show you how to structure proportions. That will feel weird until you start to get the hang of it. It's definitely a little bit more work and a little bit more intellectual stretching because it's not how we're used to thinking about things. Oh, Cyrus, where is your line on this side? Where's this line?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Let's see, Francesca. So Francesca, you're a little wide. Well, let me double check that. Actually, you're all right. Yeah, good. This is good. Nice work.
Okay.
Is it kind of more incentivizing to try your own? Does anybody else want to show this to me before we get to, before we do any more? I guess some people are ready to go further.
Leah, what line are you talking about on the left? Where your
This
yellow
one.
line is?
Yeah,
Where the yellow line is?
yeah. It's
Oh,
the edge
I thought
of
you
the,
just, I thought that was just something you were showing as a diagram. I didn't know it was a part of the image.
look at the image, you'll see it. This is
Okay.
on a block that's coming forward.
Got it.
All right.
Don't drink the water.
All right, so let's do this. Oops. There we go. I'm gonna sketch the actual shape of, I'm pretty sure it's a lion. We're gonna kind of get to the outer shapes. I'm gonna get this line in. Okay, so notice that this is my point. This is like, here's my quarter point, and then this is another halfway point. So the top of my lion really starts here. And the bottom of my lion starts at exactly the quarter point on the bottom. So if I divide this half in half, I go here. So if I come here and I divide this in half. So if I come here I mark 1, 2, right? If I mark this here and this here, this is kind of how I start my lion, my outer shape of my lion. Let me send you a picture of this. So you guys can see it. Maybe a close up here. Actually, also a far away would be helpful. So I'm kind of sketching out, and I'm not getting too detailed. On this side, I can come all the way to the edge of the block. Here, I'm kind of coming down. I notice I'm not getting into too much detail yet. Notice if you get too kind of, it's easy to exaggerate curves. So we want to kind of avoid the curves as much as possible while we're starting. We can add them in later. So notice I did a little curving, but not too much. And I'm probably going to correct a lot. Let me send these out. I'm going to take another picture of this. Here is one. Ah! And notice there's a kind of general theory here, which is that I'm moving from biggest shapes to smaller shape, to the shapes, to the second biggest shapes, right? Or the medium-sized shapes. I'm always looking for the envelope before I start getting into detail. If I look for the envelope, which is kind of the bigger shape, right? This was the first envelope. This is the second envelope. And this also is an envelope. If I find those envelopes of shape, it's less likely that I'm going to get too big. Or I might still make mistakes, but they'll be way more correct. We call this way of thinking about drawing like construction, right? So I'm getting my simpler, bigger shapes first so that I can get to my detail. Just like this idea about this idea about handling like the idea of building a table, right, with beautiful legs and ornate sides. You don't start by carving the details of the beautiful legs. You start by measuring to see if you can have 4 legs, 4 pieces of wood that are the same size and shape, right? Then you can get to adding details. So that is a similar process to what we're doing here. It's not how we're used to thinking about it, but it's so practical. It's so logical when you get into the idea of it. Francesca, was that a cemetery where you got the other sculpture? Was that a tombstone?
No, it's actually a garden,
Oh, okay.
and there are like
I told you.
it is like a statue. It seems like a ancient statue, but is I think it was
It's fairly
done,
new.
yeah, it's not so ancient. It's not a Greek or Roman.
All right, this looks pretty good. I'm gonna check. Good. This is good. Francesca, yours looks good. That's nice. It reminds me when I lived in Hungary, in Budapest. Budapest had these, the Hungarians have these extraordinary tombstones with big elaborate sculptures in all of them. So I often went to the cemetery just to look around and sketch the stuff. I mean, the statuary was beautiful. And it kind of reminded me of these really elaborate, oh, they were just so amazing. Let's see. Geraldine, let's see, 1, 2, looking good across. Believe it or not, Geraldine, you've missed 1 measurement.
Yeah.
So here, so this is the very halfway point, right? This middle point.
Yeah.
And the chin comes to the halfway point of here. It's the quarter point, right? You have it a little too long.
Yeah.
That's okay. Just go over, just erase. Up here, this comes up a little, this head comes up a little bit further than the halfway point. Actually, well, let's see. I'm trying to figure out where your halfway point is. This comes up a little bit higher. If here's the quarter point, this is the halfway. It's like halfway from the quarter point to the top.
Okay.
Can you see how yours looks a little elongated?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because you went up just a little, you went down a little bit too low. You just went down a little bit too low. This little line across should be exactly at the quarter point.
Right.
If you look here, you'll see, I can show you. That is not the quarter point.
Yeah.
Right? The quarter point is probably about here. Jackie, let's see. 1, 2. So I'm looking for the halfway point. So Jackie, there's something off about your measurements.
Okay.
I want you to erase these inside lines. Just take your
Okay.
hand and 1, 2. So you need to, I want you to erase this inside part and I want you to draw a line straight down the middle. Hold on, I'm checking to make sure. I want you to draw a line straight down the middle.
Yep.
And then I want you to find the halfway point and the quarter points of that line. Then I will show, then I'll show you where you put your shapes.
Okay.
What I can't really tell because I can't see them is where you're, I think these shadows are in the right places, but this is totally in the wrong place.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, yeah, but it looks cool. And I like how the charcoal is really going back. Let's see, everybody else. Okay, so once you've got these pieces in place, and I'm happy to look at this, now we're going to, looking for another color here, hold on. It helps to have different colors so you can kind of see the steps in the order they're going to be taken. Here's a light blue. So now we're really going to be, trying to grab my blue, there's charcoal everywhere. Now I'm going to be looking at kind of the dark and medium shapes within this sculpture. You can see that in some places, there's what we call a lost edge. Does anybody remember what that is? What's the lost edge? What's a lost edge?
When you can't see the edge.
Why can't you see the edge?
Because it blends into something else.
Into the shadow. It's always a shadow thing, right? So in this particular case, we can't really see the features too much on this side of the face because they disappear into the shadow. So lost edges are really important in showing realism in drawing. They're super important because they show us some feeling, they show us where shadows kind of reach across. So they're important to portray, I guess, and be aware of. Because they're in every, they help show in two dimensions, they help convey the feeling of the illusion of three. All right, hang on, Jackie, and I'll show you. I'm going to send this with the blue marks are the next marks that you're going to be making. All right, Jackie, so the bottom of your lion is here.
Wait,
The
is that the
quarter
quarter
point.
mark?
Yep. And the top is halfway above the quarter mark.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. So now, by the way, you guys are killing it. And keep asking the questions. Bettina, I feel like you particularly asked the questions. Francesca, I feel like I like the way you guys are asking these questions because you're catching the process early enough so I can try to re-explain it. And you'll see, you know, I became much more sympathetic of my terrible drawing teachers because some of this stuff is sort of hard to explain. Right? If you're not like, thank God I like at least had a career in words at some point so I could try to explain it.
So you blame your teachers and you.
I don't blame my teachers. I don't blame my teachers. I'm saying I don't blame my teachers. I had bad teachers, I will say that, who didn't explain very well what was happening with drawings. I had to figure it out myself. I also had great teachers who also helped me a lot. But like, I understand the trouble with the bad teachers, or the teachers that can't explain it. Some of these things are hard to explain. So it is hard to explain as we go through. I can see, so I'm going to start kind of sketching in, and I'm still kind of lightly doing this. Yeah, I had one teacher that was just, I would come home from his classes and cry. I could not like get what it was he was trying to, he wasn't just good at explaining like drawing mistakes. Now I get it a little bit more. I'm doing, you'll see I'm kind of sketching in lightly with a kind of lighter color. I haven't gone in to get too much detail yet. I'm just kind of trying to get the outlines of these dark shapes. Yeah. There's like this here. Yeah. It's funny, this is coming out. And then if you want to, you can kind of come in here and darken a little bit. I wouldn't go super dark. I'd still water it down. But you can start to get in if you want to. And if you also want to, you can come onto the left side, sorry, the right side of the lion and get the sort of shadowy that are underneath the lion. We're not going to really deal with the shadows yet on the lion itself. It's such a funny spot where we're at with this. Anyway, your questions help, so keep asking them. Let's see. Okay. Okay, the proportions from top to bottom look pretty good, Sandra.
Oh, good.
Now let's check. I'll check a couple things. 1, 2. Yeah, I think you're in good. I feel like the eye is. Let's see. So can you see right here? There's kind of a triangle
Right.
of equidistant from the mouth up to the marking here, or even really straight up and down. So from the eye to this line here to here, this is an equidistant triangle. I would actually sketch in the triangle very lightly with a pencil to make sure these are the same length. And that will like really help you locate your eye.
Thank you.
Yeah. The eye still feels slightly out of like, but not much. It feels like it's just. However, you're also perfectly, it's perfectly okay for you to blame the teacher if you want to. You can totally blame the teacher. Do it. I get it. You can.
Sunny bunny.
So Leah, when you were sketching in the eyes,
Yeah.
why are you not doing the right side of the face that's really dark?
Oh,
Or
I
that-
just haven't got there yet. I just haven't
Okay.
got there yet. I was
Okay.
just kind of trying to like, I didn't want to go too fast. I totally could. Do you want me to do that? Would that be helpful?
No, I was
Look.
just looking at it.
Yeah, I would here, I'll do it right now. Just, you're right. Actually, you're absolutely right. That's a better way to do it. So see, I just didn't want people to get kind of lost in the, so here's the darkest parts right here. There we go. Yeah, in that lost, yeah, so I might as well get the lost edge in right away. Since it's there. I might have lost a little bit. But I think I can get some of this back as I go darker. There's also this kind of water stream that we may want to kind of sketch around to not get too much dark in it. So can you see how I'm streaming? If you're working in ink, I'm streaming it down here so that I don't do too much coloring in. I'll get darker on either side. By the way, I'm thinking that we'll have a class party on a Sunday when we normally have art class. And what I was thinking was it would be the Sunday, December 26th. Is that like a good day for people or is that a bad day for people? Like in general, I mean, some people celebrate Boxing Day.
I can't do any Sundays.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? We'll do a student.
If I'm the only one, just go with the group.
All
It's
right.
fine for me. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking, so what we'll do is a student show. I'm gonna send you a link so you can upload some of your favorite work of the year into the student gallery. Maybe we'll play a drinking game. I don't know, we won't play a drinking game, but like we'll play some kind of game and I will award some kind of prizes and we'll look at everybody's work and just talk about the year and maybe talk about what we'd like to get out of next year's classes. It'll probably be morning or afternoon for us in the US and evening for those of you in Europe and India.
Sounds good, Leah.
I sent mine in, Leah. I got a bit distracted at the beginning because my husband was leaving with my daughter.
Yeah. Oh, it looks
So I
good.
just got,
It looks in good shape. So you can start darkening the darkest areas. Yeah, start darkening with the darkest areas. Looks good.
and I had a crazy week and I couldn't get ink, but I'll get it next week. But I just couldn't do it this week.
Don't worry about it.
Completely crazy week. Yeah.
Do whatever you need, whenever you need it. That's why this class exists for skill building and for community and for a moment to take a pause, right? And not have to think about everything else in your week. Very often, this will be the only time you'll have. So I support it. I think at this point, I'd like to see you guys so you'll notice here, I'm kind of letting around each side, I've drawn sketched in these little sort of slightly darker lines for the water. And I'm sort of darkening the shadows. Once I've done that, I can go back in with my pen, my bamboo pen. and start to get in some of the outer shapes, right? So maybe here, oops, that's pretty dark. It's pretty wet. Let me blot it a little bit. So maybe here is where I would add in some of these outer shapes. Sandra's cats are getting their chicken out of the oven. I can also add some inner lines, right? So now I'm just adding, look at what happens just as I add contour on this side. That kind of coming over here. Maybe I'm gonna leave this because I want to leave this a kind of more like that. Maybe I do want to get I'm going to experiment with putting in the contour on this side, even though it's fairly dark. So you can see I've got that outer shape. I might also want to add a little contour to my water stream in here, just a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little contour to some of the features. So maybe this. Maybe here. Really interesting. Maybe down here. Right, so I'm going to start adding in some detail. Seems so simple, doesn't it, you guys? Until you get in and you start to do it, you're like, oh my God.
What the hell?
What the heck is going on? But it's good. This is why we're here. So on the right, on our left side, I'm really trying to get that detail firmly. You can see on this side, I'm kind of piecing it out in a couple ways. And I think I'll go back in at this point with my brush and get rid of some of those lines, right? Add in some of these lost edges. Work between these lines. So I put them in and then I'm kind of taking them out. It's kind of super dark above here. I love listening to Sandra talk to her cats. Now that's starting to look a little bit interesting, right? And then I can start getting in a little darker here. There's kind of a light area here. I can make my shadow a little darker. If I want to, I can go back in as well and add, you'll notice that the contour lines that the pen provides they kind of move us from the mushiness. So they're good for hard edges, right? Like where this brick stops. Kind of dark right at the edge. Maybe you also want to add in a couple of these lines. right? Some of these bricky lines. Down here, there's one. Stonework happening. And then you might want to, like, with your brush and your pen, play around with the halftones, right? These midpoints that are kind of up here. I might want to darken. Notice I'm testing down here to make sure I don't go too dark, right? I might want to darken my shadow. Maybe I want to put a contour line around my shadow. I might even want to do that. So now you get to kind of play with providing the texture. Play with the darks and lights. Maybe I want to do kind of a little light wash over here. Maybe I want to do a light wash and then take my blankie and pop it, like push it off like this to create some, look at that. That creates, so let me do that again. That's like a watered down ink, which I then take my blankie, my little paper towel, and I kind of, oops, can't really see that. I kind of pull back so it stays lighter, but look at the texture that it gives you. Isn't that awesome? I like that. I'll do that in here as well. So in here, before everything gets to so now all of a sudden I have this wonderful stone texture. If you want me to show you that again, let me know. But that's not the only way to do it, right? I want you to kind of play with this medium, and I'm going to let mine dry for a second. Ooh, Osiris, this is, I like it. I really like your mark making, Osiris. You have a nice way. Are you using is that a pastel? Is that a charcoal pencil?
No, I'm just, until I get good with one thing, I'm just gonna get good at that. And then
I think that's good.
It's just pencil. I'm just trying to know how to use Imperial. Thank you. You
Notice
ladies
that
know that in the ancient days, they used to use gargoyles to ward off evil spirits. And if you go to a lot of African homes or people from Africa, they have statues and stuff around their house. Some Asian people have statues like, what is there, I can't think of the lady's name for the Asian culture, but for Africans, certainly they use gargoyles and a lot of things like that to ward off evil spirits around their home. That's why I know
That's
it's a
cool.
gargoyle. That's why it looked like it to me.
very cool. I like the gargoyles are protection against bad spirits, but I also love like spirit houses and the things that are put up to sort of attract the good ones too, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to point out, by the way, is that because this side is darker, there's kind of a shadow at this edge. But notice I didn't really push it because on this side, this is lighter. So I kept this purposely a little bit less. I didn't draw my contour lines all the way up here. Yeah, spirit houses I'm kind of obsessed with right now. You know, like a little house with a little temple where you can put offerings to the spirits.
In New Orleans, they have that for Madame Marie Laveau that had the tarot card reader, Madame Marie Laveau, who I love having history with. They have that. They have a spirit house for her. And then in a lot of the Native American cultures, they have a sweat house. You go down in there in the dark and then you experience your deepest, darkest, whatever's. Those are really weird. Not weird, but they're very deep and entrenching.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then on Saturday and Wednesday, real quick, you guys and ladies, on Wednesday, I have a women's circle with the Hammond Museum where I'm a member of. And one of the women from, it's either Morocco or I think she's from Morocco. And they showed us Rangoli. They're all the different patterns that they make on the ground, and they have a big Rangoli festival every year, and those are all used to protect from spirits and bring harvest in and all that. It was really interesting, the whole process of the women putting them down on the cement and how they do it with rice flour, and they take the turmeric and they make it into a color. You know, we use turmeric to color because it's so dark, and they use those to make flowers and stuff on the Rangoli. It was really interesting.
It is really
Mostly the women keep this stuff going. The men could care less, to be honest with you.
I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I love those descriptions because that is absolutely spirit house stuff. I was thinking about the Thai spirit houses that are like the size of a mailbox, and they sit on a post in front of your house. Here, I'm going to send a picture over. Hang on. Let me open it up. And I'll get it. I'm just trying to get the picture into my phone so I can see it. All right. Let me see if I can get this over to you guys. They like sit on a post, and they're like little mini temples that sit in front of your house. Oops, come on. This is what I was thinking about. This, like, they look like this. They are the cutest things. So they are definitely considered a protected thing. Like I said, it's about the size of a mailbox. It sits on a post in front of your house.
Oh, it's like a birdhouse.
It is, but it's a spirit house, right? So
It also looks like a pagoda.
Yeah, it's Thai.
So they put offerings and things.
Yeah, and I've always been captivated. I always thought it would be great to have one in the front of my house. Like, I really like it. I think they're just really cool. I know,
Did you get one?
aren't they beautiful? No, I haven't. Although now that I'm looking at them, I can see I could get one. In Oregon, where I live, there are certain places where people have a little replica of their house made that's like the same size as a Thai spirit house, and they put that on a there's a couple of roads where you can see people doing this.
That's weird. What is it called?
I don't know what it's called. It's like, I mean, it's called a spirit house. It's called a spirit house, a Thai spirit
Even in
house.
Portland? You mean the Portland thing?
No. I don't know what the Portland things are called. I don't know. I've just seen them. You can drive down this road and people live in this big house, and then they get a little tiny miniature version of it about the size of a mailbox made and put on a post. Isn't that cool? I should take a picture. I'll go up and take a picture.
Yes, please.
They're really cool looking. And I'm like, is this like the Thai spirit house of Portland?
You like culture. You're like me. I love culture. I love learning other people's cultures and stuff.
Isn't
I mean, you know,
awesome?
I know my culture. I know who I am. I want to know everybody else's. It's boring after a while. Like, okay, what else is there to know? You know?
Well, there's just some really beautiful traditions everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's just some stunning traditions. There's just some really cool traditions. And yeah, I mean, the Spirit House, I just thought as a concept was really charming. It's very cute. And then I saw these like people who had built like, and I wondered who's the person who's building. I bet it's one person who has made a living building.
Did you find out who it was?
I don't know. All right, I'm gonna start looking right now. Because I want to know who's, I bet you if I do a search, I can probably find one. Somebody's probably
Some guy, that's how he makes his living, earning, doing little.
Isn't that neat? Yeah, but it's like a spirit house, really, just a Northwest version.
Come on, go away, no.
I thought she's telling us to be quiet. I was like, oh my gosh.
You tell me.
Hey, Leah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, up at the top, on the top right, where it looks like that, whatever the shadow is dancing right there. To me, it looks like a dance. But anyway, on that, see the little white area where it looks like a little V with a, up in the face itself.
Oh, in the face. Yeah.
Right, no, up right there.
Yeah.
Well, how can you make that look white and not like you erased out of it? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you got to kind of get darker around it.
Oh, to
That's
make it
the
look
way.
whitey like that?
To make it look whiter, you have to both erase and get darker around it. To show off something, a white thing, right against a darker thing, it all happens because you get darker. So you have to get darker, you've got to press your pencil harder, you've got to like,
Okay, good.
That's how you do it. That's like called paying attention. There you go, Jackie. Fun. Jackie, there's some, I still feel like your eyes are slightly higher than they should be.
Higher. Okay.
Yeah, if you look here, if I go to the top of the head and then from here to the top of the head, right, I find the halfway point. You'll see that the top of the eye, this part lines up about here.
With the halfway point.
Yeah, with that halfway point. Eyes almost always come down lower than you think they are.
I think they do, yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely, I have a bunch of lessons on how to draw faces. That is not a beginning, I mean, beginners can take that class, but it's full on. Yeah. Francesca, one of your colleagues who's-
That's what I want to learn, how to draw faces.
It's on Friday mornings right now, but it's full on. I would not call that a beginning class. But there's lots of videos. I have recorded lots of classes on this. If you want to try that, you can start to learn. But if you think these measurements are a pain in the ass, wait till you see like faces. It's all measurements. And even then it's really easy not to get right. So. But it's definitely a good practice. And you'll see that Francesca also sent a picture of a sculpture, which I'd like to do, but I feel like is a little bit hard for a beginning drawing class. So I'm there is
I think it's difficult also because probably I didn't took the photo in the right position. So you're looking at the statue from the bottom to the top. So it's difficult, I think.
It's a challenging perspective.
So. Yeah,
but
for sure.
All figures are like that. So honestly, it's just figure drawing is its own thing. So I have a figure drawing class. I am offering figure drawing. That I actually find figure drawing, I think, to be easier than face drawing. I often find, I think like figure drawing is, there's a lot of technique in measuring, but I think it's a little bit easier to manage than faces. So anyway, there is a whole video archive of classes that have been recorded in all these subjects. So I would highly recommend, if you want to try it out, it's free. You guys can just go there. So that's in, let's see. Once again, I feel like I keep sending this over, but I'll do it again. The video archive. Hang on. Is here. This is the video archive. There's the link to the YouTube channel. You can just go there and find most of these classes are recorded and on there as well. So if you want to try and practice some things, you totally can. Let's see. Oh, Bettina, nice. Yeah. So Bettina, now your job is just to get darker, right? In all the areas, you can start to layer your darks in. So once your place is dry, just get darker in the areas that are darker. I would get this whole thing, I would make it dark from here to here. Lost edge, right? Darker down here, darker down here, darker in here. Around your little light areas. Go in and so just push your darks.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can darken your shadow. It might be fun to take, I was just looking at this, thinking to take, there's that hilarious, it looks like that guy is laughing, doesn't it? From the side here. It's a fantastic, I think that's one of the things that really captivated me about this photo. And I don't really have it right now. So my thought is I might try, right, with my pen to get some of that shaping in. Especially this part that looks like he's laughing. Oh, I just love it. Right, even though I've still got some dark around there, I can kind of shape this.
You can see his face. I can see him.
Yeah, sure. Make this a little skinnier, right? So see how I'm doing this, you guys? I'm kind of drawing around these shapes. So I can use my pen to kind of emphasize things that I want to emphasize. Then I can go back in with my brush while this ink is still dry. And like, see how I'm just doing that? I'm pulling in. I'm making it dark on the inside. When you're trying to show something that kind of has a hard edge, but you don't necessarily want to see the line, it's a kind of painterly trick to paint up right to the edge. Even though I've painted up to the edge here, you can still kind of see, I painted over the line, so you can't really see it strongly. You can still feel the line. The line still has a feeling here. So I've all of a sudden strengthened my shadow, and then the rest of it just looks like sort of soft mark making. I'll be right back, you guys. Keep on working.
I'm in my class.
Not helping. Sorry, guys, I had to run and minister to my cats. It's like
Everyone
kind
does.
of raining off and on. So they're like, they want to be out, they want to be in, they want to be blah, blah, they're back and forth. They're like, Hermes particularly is in a very questing phase. He wants to be out, you know, he wants to experience out. So it's raining. So when it rains, I put him in. And when it stops raining, I put him back out again.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a cheat.
Yes.
It's,
Still not feeling like it's right.
I'm not happy with it. But that's the ink, the painting, not. Good. Need to find the right thread.
You're on a lot of them.
Well, sometimes it displays them easily, and sometimes you have to go find it.
Right. Hello, lady.
Here we go.
Oh, I don't, oh, so it's, but the drawing is, so I want to just commend you. The drawing is perfect. I wonder, Sandra, if you wet it, I went over with a wet paper towel and tried to pull a little ink off, if it would create a little cross
So,
texture.
The problem with that is that I just tried to do that with a brush, and the
What-
black marks started smearing.
So what if you did it with a paper towel? So you had a little bit more control.
To sort of unify things, you mean?
Yeah. Just kind of like tap. A brush is a little bit harsher. Try it with a wet paper towel. See if it does anything different. It may not, but I see what you're working with. But by the way, you nailed the drawing. So I want you to at least say, hey, I nailed that drawing.
Oh yeah, after the 7th attempt or something.
I can totally see the triangle. I can see his face. It's great. Little cuties.
I think what I don't like is my mark making. I don't know.
Yeah, you're playing with how to make that, make the texture that you want. I wonder if it would be worth it to try it also as an erasing, like a charcoal drawing.
I'm
and
interested in
erasing.
maybe doing a watercolor, or
Oh yeah, that'd be
because
nice
it's
too.
got gorgeous golden color, which I can't convey.
Yeah, so maybe try that as a watercolor. I would walk you through that.
But those black spots would be more annoying. I suppose I could use ink. You know, if I wanted to get really dark.
Sure, or just keep layering on a mixed black that you make yourself. You know, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and ultramarine blue. Just keep layering it on. You'll get it to where you want it. You might actually find it easier to deal with color.
I haven't done a watercolor in a long time.
There will be a bump.
Sorry?
There'll be a bump in, like, you'll be like, oh, trying to get back to color and mixing. It's nice not to have to think about it.
Still haven't completely figured out the mixing.
Oh, that's a lifelong practice.
I mean,
It's just like drawing, right? It's a lifelong, it's like not like we ever get too good at it. It's always a practice. So I have a very cute photo to share with you guys, a cute little story. I bought a big box of apples from one of my neighbor's kids for a fundraiser. And so the apples have just sat in a box outside on my back porch because it's warm enough for them to be right, like sitting there. And then I just eat an apple, or I grab an apple or 2 or 3 every day and use them. And the other day, so here's where they are. The apples are like sitting in, oh, Francesca, that looks awesome. So work on giving yourself a little texture give yourself a little bit of this stone texture by wetting with the mostly water and then taking a paper towel and pulling off to kind of create this texture. That's great.
Okay,
Oh,
I will try.
Geraldine, nice. So Geraldine, get darker. Lose all the edges here. Just darken this entire area from here to here. Lose that edge. And you will see this will look even better. Very nice. Beautiful mark making. So anyway, here is the so here's this box of apples, which is mostly like that. It's just sitting outside. Today I found this. I found this. like next to the box.
Somebody sampled them.
Isn't that awesome? And now there's 2.
It's just a squirrel. It's just squirrels.
I know. I'm like, this is so here. There's 2. And
I have apple trees and they do the same thing.
but I mean, they took them out of the box.
Oh, I don't care. It's your box. It's like free food.
Yeah, of course they do. Is it the squirrels or mice?
Yes.
It must be squirrels. It must be squirrels. Isn't it the cutest? I was just like, that is so cute. Like one day I woke up and like this apple had been moved out of the box. They're kind of heavy too. So the squirrel had to pick it up and move it like from the box to a totally different part of the yard.
Yeah, I mean, I see squirrels in my garden with pomegranate apples in their mouth that just the size of themselves, and oranges, and they steal
But
all.
Leah, if I darken the right hand side, I'm just afraid that it's just going to.
You're afraid.
But it is chilling.
You're working in pencil, right, Geraldine? Geraldine, was that you? The right side. Who just said that about the right side and the pencils? Who said about being afraid about the dark part? Was that you, Geraldine? You're muted.
Cut off. If I start highlighting and filling this with black, will it just lose its shape? Or...
I think it'll gain its shape.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So notice that you have a little fear because your left brain is trying to argue that you should articulate everything the same, right? But the right brain doesn't think about the eye on this side and the eye on this. The right brain sees a big dark shape here.
Right.
Right. That is, I like that. Thank you for articulating that so well. You can see here, I've basically lost all the shape and it looks pretty good. But I mean, worst comes to worst, you have a pencil, you can go back in and re-pull it out. But I would say darken everything. Give yourself that lost edge because that's what will make your drawing look three-dimensional and real.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting, but it's good to observe this about yourself, that your left brain is getting into the driver's seat and trying to impose its own rules. And those rules don't work for visual spatial. And it's because you know what the thing is and you have a concept in your mind of what it should look like and how you should see it. Oh, yeah. Sandra, that actually.
Really?
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, you can see what it is, but
it's a little too even, right? Wouldn't you say? Maybe that's the issue.
No, I think I had trouble rendering the hair. You mean in terms of values or in terms of-
Yeah. In terms of values and maybe a
I
little
just
bit.
darkened.
Hey, what if you took a pen, a bamboo pen, or a quill pen, and you went around the edge and tried to articulate some of the hair around the edge where the edge won't
Because
sit?
it's gonna.
Might not work, but I'm just
don't
giving you
think-
ideas that you can test. Maybe you can articulate it with a watered
The
down
pen,
ink.
because the pen does it really, really dark.
So maybe you should like water down the pen marks and see.
I
how
don't
that
think I can
goes.
do better hair with a
Okay,
pen than I can with. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to
play
try
around.
again.
Yeah,
Try again.
the drawing's so good though.
Well, after wasting so many pieces of paper.
Let's see. Ooh, very nice, Jackie. Very atmospheric. Super.
Getting messy over here.
Oh, I like it. Aren't you enjoying it? So we
No, I
thought
just-
about. I think charcoal is a good medium for you, and I'd actually happily go back to charcoal and these reductive drawings if people are interested in December. We'll sort of poll the class on that. I love it. I think it's turning out great. It looked very atmospheric, and you can see. So Geraldine, here's an example. Look at Jackie's that she just posted across with the charcoal. You can see how this edge, right, which is really pretty much all dark, how getting that
Right.
shape right really pulls together with little pops of eraser in certain places, really helps finish creates this feeling of 3 dimensions. I know it's such an intellectual shift in thinking. What I really love about right brain thinking is it is deeply an intellectual process. It's just a different intellectual process than the one we're used to engaging in. So you have to change it's like learning a language, right? So it's the language of shapes, lights and darks in relation to each other, which doesn't interestingly have much to do with what a thing actually is. It has to do with like the shapes.
Yeah,
It's,
interesting.
yeah, right? Oh, Bettina, super, I like how these darks are looking. I want you to notice, Bettina, there's really no light at all, except for this little light area, which you've nicely preserved. So if you want to go in and even pull it up, even make that a little bit smaller, you can. Or kind of work on more texture over here, or maybe add a little bit of line here to get that laughing lion in. I love it. It's nice. Very nice. You can also get a little bit darker down here if you want to. It's nice. Good job. So fun. Thank you, Francesca. This was a wonderful subject. So perfect.
I'm happy. I mean, it was a sunny day, so beautiful sunny day.
Yeah.
That's why the light and the shadow
We're so perfect.
Yeah.
Good eye. So I encourage all of you. I'm gonna pick from the sources you send me. I'll pick the best one. So I encourage all of you to photograph your neighborhoods, your pets, send it over to me and we'll draw it. If I think you've got good contrast, we'll do it. We've got about 10 minutes left. So take a look at your drawing and see what you can do to like really work it all over. What can you do to fix?
Oh, Sandra, how beautiful.
Oh, really?
Isn't that, I like it. I
Well, I've
think
improved
she's,
it a little bit. It didn't, well, of course, it never pans out the way you think, right? But still,
right.
it's-
But then
People
sometimes you like
point
the
to
way
it.
it is even better. Sometimes
Mine is very awkward right now.
right, because you're working on a tough subject. It's coming. It's coming. It's really coming.
Oh, wow, it is, Diana.
Yeah, it really, Diana, you've come a long way. Very nice. Are these the actors' faces now?
No, they're not. They're not.
Okay.
And the picture I have is so frigging shitty, but I'm trying to do the best. I mean, it's a lot of lost edges and
Yeah.
Things in
And
shadow.
graininess, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like lost edges from graininess, not from
Yeah.
shadows. It's
Yeah.
looking great. It has a real dynamism. You're getting it.
let's see.
You'll see, so you see, you guys, that this never ends, this process, right? Of like learning how to work with lost edges. Notice that Diana is also working with a lost edge as she, so edges are really important in drawing. Let me just say that. When I say edges, I mean the edge of where dark meets light, right? The edge of where one subject, like this block here, meets the background blocks. So there's edges within a subject, and then there's edges between subjects. And so when you're focusing on your details, you're really going to edges and making sure. So for example, this has a light edge because the sun's coming from this direction. And this side has a dark edge. So I tried to pay attention to that in my own sketch. I made this fairly light and this stronger and darker with my pen. I didn't treat these the same, right? Because there's a different thing happening on either side. So paying attention to edges and the lost edges and the found edges, all of it is really, it's an art. That's how you kind of work on your drawing. Yeah, Sandra, I think it's pretty good. Oh, Cyrus, it's fantastic. I hope this shows up in one of your artworks because it's really good. I love it. He's got so much personality. Great, so great. And I think you handled this area really nicely. You did good. It's working really well. You went darker here, right? So that your lights show up more. It's great. I love it. I love these. They're wonderful. You guys are getting it.
Okay.
So I tried to darken a little bit.
Let's see.
Yeah. So I could
Oh
still
yeah, look at how, see how much this starts to come together and feel more cohesive. This is beautiful, Geraldine. I love it.
thank you.
I really love it. So yeah, you're just, and I like, see how like losing this and coming back to this, it's great. You can bring in a little dark in here where your
Right.
water is because there's little dark shapes. So now come into the water stream. And this is also kind of, this bottom lip is more like a medium. So you can darken that
Yeah,
a little bit.
exactly.
And yeah, really nice. I mean, you
Yeah.
can basically just, this is great. Excellent work. So fun. It's funny because it seems like so simple, but it isn't. There's so much going on here. It's a really evocative piece. I encourage you, walk around your neighborhood and photograph it and send me
Will
stuff.
do.
We'll
Yeah, I'll
draw
send you
it.
if I see anything. in
Yes,
Mexico.
we'll draw you. Like, I love it. We love it. And by the way, Francesca, one of your colleagues who happens to be Polish, but is in Milan now, joined class yesterday. I hope we didn't scare her off.
I will ask her.
Ask her.
I suggested her to
join.
the class. Yeah.
She
And,
picked a 3/4 portrait pose. So I did say to her, oh my God, this is about
she
the
started
hardest.
with something difficult.
Yeah, so it was really difficult, but she was a trooper. She did great, but I tell her to see, she should join this class too.
Okay.
For a little bit more
Okay.
satisfaction.
Yeah, I
Results.
will tell her. I mean, I think because she has a young daughter, like 3 or 4 years old, so she probably prefer working days because
Yeah, she's with her daughter during the weekdays. But yeah, I get you. Although Anik's daughter is the same age and looks so good. Anik's daughter is the same age and also Anik's son is the same age and he will often sit with her. So and they just draw too. So we encourage that a lot. Yeah, Mariana Pagana, who's taking the class on Wednesdays now, her son Victor is almost always sitting with her and working. It's really, I really encourage if the kids don't disturb their parents.
Yeah, if they like
if they
it.
don't,
yeah.
Right? Like if they like it. Some kids really like to model after their parents, even at quite a young age. Others don't have the capacity to sit still that long, right? So it just depends from kid to kid.
My daughter Leah has been drawing more now that I've started.
Right?
Starting to draw more, yeah.
So it is. So have her join you, Geraldine. It's totally it doesn't cost me anything, right? It's like I like to have no more than 30 screens up in a class. So if you're sharing a screen, who cares how many people are in? I think the better. I encourage it because
I'd like to.
I will encourage
her to.
And in fact, I'm going to remove the spotlight now and